Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 10th day of July. I got the Mad New Yorker backstage here. Going to talk about this Netflix Part 2 documentary with the quarterback documentary. It's been real popular the last 2 years. We had Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins. I think he was in the first one. You know, you can't get rid of Kirk Cousins. But anyways, going to talk to him about that. What coaches are going to be on the hot seat coming into next year? We'll give you a few of them as well. Maybe get into a little MLB questions, of course. NFC South talk. Tristan Wirfs going to miss the first month of the season with the Bucs. So we'll talk about that and more with the Mad New Yorker. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and we'll be back here momentarily. And we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, we're back here live. I want to welcome the Mad crowd loves you tonight, man. How's it going today, Chief?
Yo. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thanks for having me on.
Happy Thursday. A little bit under the weather. Been dealing with a sinus infection, man, the last few days. You know, I get this. It's either in the middle of the summer or right at Labor Day. Every single year, some kind of sinus infection. But I played through it, man, because I play hurt like that. So, folks, wasn't here yesterday because I was just trying to rest and recoup so I can do it today and do some Uber this weekend. So, but I have got a chance to watch this. Did you get a chance to watch any of the quarterback documentary, part 2 of the Netflix with Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins?
Not season 2, Robert. You know I got kids. I can't be watching that stuff yet.
Yeah, kid, Joe. Well,
no,
there was a video that went viral, a clip that went viral from that documentary. I figured you ain't got a chance to watch it. Been under the weather. Usually I've been driving Uber Tuesday and Wednesday. Normally I wouldn't have got a chance to see it either. But since I was under the weather, I did get a chance to watch a lot of them before my Netflix expired, and I'll redo it later, but that's a different story. But I did get this clip, and it talks about how many penalties they made. Burrow has a blow up on the sideline with Coach Zach Taylor. And, you know, let me play this. It's not the best sound in the world, but you get the idea. I'll play this for you and the audience to see what you folks think.
Hey, way to finish the day. That's a great drive to finish it. I know it's a frustrating,
embarrassing performance by us. Fucking embarrassing.
Listen, we'll address it. But at the same time, let's enjoy some of these wins.
Fuck that. We sucked today. That was embarrassing. Okay. We jumped off sides fucking 8 times.
I know that. Okay? I'm gonna play our defense.
F that. They jumped off sides 8 effing times. So that's the head coach. And the quarterback argument, you probably wouldn't see that. Like I said, with Brian Callahan and Cam Ward. Cam Ward arguing with the defensive lineman when Callahan's telling the play in his ear. Zach Taylor, when he got hired, I thought it was Mike Brown being cheap. He was a quarterback coach. He wasn't even a coordinator, but he gets his phenom of a talent. They lucked up on some draft picks, and they got a good defensive coordinator, Lou Amorano, and they got to the Super Bowl, and it made up. Now things are leveling off a little bit. Now he's starting to look like the coach that we saw beforehand. I originally imagined he would be, and noticed that just about every single year, I want to say the last 3 years, they've got off to a rough start. And you can't put everything on Burrow's injury. I think he could be fired in the first 5 or 6 weeks if they get off to another bad start, because Mike Brown will want to place it on the coach instead of himself and personnel. What do you think about that? That clip going viral like that, that's something I would not want out there if I'm Zach Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of guys that blow up for the competitive nature gets on runs in during the game, and
that's true. It's highly competitive in those situations. Yeah, emotions fly.
I like that he's saying no to the coach, like, yo, even though we got the win, we gotta like. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways to portray that to your coach, but with his intensity and his desire to win, I think you need that bravado. You need that. You need that kind of accountability as well. And I think the coach doesn't say nothing because he's like, okay, like he's part of this team. He's being a leader, so he's so he's being a little passive, which is good. But how would it came back and be like, yeah, we suck, but we won this game, and we're gonna make and just left it at that. He kept trying to calm him down, and you can't calm people like that down, man. People win for.
I think that was the Titans game, which they did win last year.
I mean, there are people who are winners who are ultra competitive for a reason, and if you're a coach, you got to kind of like you say little things, but then you let everything else slide because you don't want them to lose that bravado. You don't want them to lose that.
Was Burrow simply out of line saying that to the head coach, though?
No, I mean, you want responsive. Would you rather have someone who doesn't say anything to you? It's just sitting there like, and you're trying to talk to him. I think you as a coach, you take what you got and you work with what you have in those leaders, and you put them out there on the line, and they have to show accountability. And he's kind of like saying the truth, right? So who's going to jump on that grenade with him, though? That's the thing. He's a quarterback. He ain't playing defense, so he's got to be able to call people out, but then he's also got to be the one to say, like, he's in the wrong as well for certain things. So it's a tough and thin line for coaches and players. Should they cross the line doing this and saying that? But at the end of the day, man, you want somebody to be in that mode, in competitive killer mode. You have to have somebody like that on your team, and it can't be just a coach trying to motivate you to do things, right? So Joe Burrow's in the right place, is in the right position on the wrong team. And I've said this before, and I've mentioned this, is like, if he ever wants to win, he needs to get out of Cincinnati. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. And
I said about another guy too, and that's Mr. Buffalo Bill up there, who's like, I never want to leave the Bills. I was like, that's a detriment to him. Those two guys will never win a Super Bowl if they stay on those two teams. Mark it down.
Yeah, I'm curious when his contract did, because he signed that extension.
Yep, they signed extensions, and they're in it for the next at least 2 to 3 years. So, but then again, you know what happens not only in basketball but also in football. They're gonna have these players associations talk up different deals and media deals and all that coming up. So, we'll see what happens in the NFL.
Right. So in 2029, if he didn't sign another piece of paperwork there, after 29, which will be 30, I think he'll be 32. He's 28 now. He'll be 29 in December. He would be roughly
33,
34 years old. So essentially, you could have made the argument maybe he shouldn't have signed that other contract, but they just come off that Super Bowl. And this old man wouldn't trade him if his life he would let him sit there and not play and pay him not play or take it to remember what happened with Carson Palmer when he wanted to get out of Cincinnati?
Oh, no, and get this.
They traded him to the Raiders, and Palmer threatened to retire, and then he eventually went to Arizona.
The sad part is that he's been doing that anyways, even because of the injury. So he's just doing what he's been doing since he's gotten to the league. And that is that's a terrible place for these guys like Allen and Burrow to be in. Terrible contracts. I get it. They have great fan bases, support the team. There's nothing about the fan base. It's just about the situation that they're in with the teams that they're on. They're competitive teams. They might make the playoffs for sure, but they're not gonna win a Super Bowl. Like neither of those teams will. So.
Yeah, 34 years old. The only thing advice I can give him is, like I said before, take care of yourself, get rid of the ball, don't try to do too much, and keep yourself healthy. Is there life after 34 years old? Yeah, look at guys like Matt Stafford, who went to the Rams and went on and won a Super Bowl later on in his career. What was he, 35, 36 years old? So it's possible. He's just going to have to play a little different. He cannot hang on to the ball too long. But there's a good chance that this could be a Dan Marino situation. I thought it could be a Montana situation. I got a little above my skis.
You like Joe Burrow, man. That's a boy right there. Joe Burrow, you ride and die with him.
I think his talent level is that way.
Oh no, I'm not. I would never say that he's not a top 5 quarterback. But I always put it out every year. It's like they're not gonna win Super Bowl. And I don't want to sound.
You know what Spagnuolo said in this documentary the other day? He said, "You're the best guy other than I got." Spagnuolo's the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. You're the best player, quarterback in this league other than the guy we got.
Imagine that.
He probably wouldn't have said that if he wasn't coaching on Kansas City. I mean, that's how good Burrow really is, man.
Right. Like, I don't take nothing. If he can be on a team that can rise up and win something, I'd rather see him in like, San Francisco or a teams that have.
I'd love to see him win it. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance this could happen, but they got 2 players right now that are holding out, and they're both defensive players. Their first-round pick, and of course, their defensive end there, who had 17 sacks last year. He's holding out, and their first-round pick is threatening to go back in the draft. I mean, that is really bad, and it's all because this owner, man.
They got to put up a shut up, man. Look at this guy, like you mentioned before, the Los Angeles Rams. Like the guy pays out, and when he doesn't, he moves players.
He's one of the best in the league, and he's one of the most low key guys in the league as well.
Yeah. So
same thing with the Baltimore owner. He's very low key.
Right.
So my question I sent you. Obviously, this is one of my guys. I gave you 3 guys that you think will be on the hot seat going into this season that you can see likely to get fired. Anything can happen. Players rise up. You could go to the playoffs. You never know.
Right.
I could have gave you 5, but I didn't want to press you too much on it. I can give you 5 like that off the top of my head. Number 1 for me, obviously, is Zach Taylor.
Wow.
I do think that he could be. I tell you what, I'll give 1, then you give 1.
Sure.
Since we're at that time, we're about 2 weeks from training camp, by the way. Like I said, 3 years, slow start in the last 3 years. They fired their defensive coordinator last year after 21 was recognized as being one of the hottest coordinators in the game. Whether it's his fault or not, you want to blame the owner and the general management staff, which he has a big hand on that staff there for, giving all these wide receivers money and extension. He does that to sell jerseys.
Right.
He's all about making that quick buck. He's not about winning. He just extended T. Higgins. They let more and more defensive players go. And they drafted Chase. Who was it? Jamar Chase, who's a great player. But they had Penei Sewell on the board. They could have taken Penei Sewell. I would have still taken Penei Sewell as good as Jamar Chase is. But my thing is, Zach Taylor will probably be the fall guy if they start like 1-4, 1-5.
Wow.
That's my number 1 coach here that I think is on the hot seat coming in because they're so good at quarterback. What's your number 1 guy coming into the this league on the hot seat? Got a good idea, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
we have to go and see who the worst teams last year, how they finished up. And since 2023, Steichen for the Colts I think he's the first one that's going to get burned and gone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, he's 17-17 since 2023. They got a new owner as well. I don't think who wants to be part of. I don't know what she wants to be part of and how she wants to do it.
She wants her name in the headlines, don't she?
We talked about her a few weeks back. So I feel like everything's pointing the other direction. I don't even know what they're.
Carly Ursay Gordon.
Yeah, I don't.
She still keeps Ursay in her name. She's been remarried. She's 44, and she knows everything about the NFL. To hear her say it, she wants to listen to on headset, listen to the games. And you should see some of the pictures the media's putting out. She looks crazy looking. Her eyes look like they're about to pop out of her head. That's your number one. Yeah. She's ego tripping.
Yeah. And another thing too is like unfortunately with Richardson, he's shown a little bit of like flash, but he's been injured last 2 seasons. I don't, they want to maybe make him a scapegoat, maybe get rid of Richardson for some money. I don't know what their plan is, because that's such a uneasy situation. That's my number one first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 2 would be.
I was gonna say Dable.
You thought I thought you were gonna say that. You threw a curveball at me, dude. I swung for the fences and I missed on that curveball.
Well,
my number 2 is Brian Daboll.
Yeah, he on my list though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My number 2 is Brian Daboll. Of course, 3 years ago, won a playoff game with Daniel Jones, but they've been picking in the top 10 the last 2 years. Was eager to move off Jones. They will be the number 1 team to have the duo between him and Shin, likely to get fired. Now, of course, anything can happen. They've had some big draft picks. They've got Russell Wilson now. They've got this young rookie quarterback. What's his name? The guy from Ole Miss there.
Dart?
Yeah, Jackson Dart there. They've got him. The question is their offensive line. Was the ball more of a one-hit wonder? Did they catch lightning in a bottle that 1 year? You could tell the owner's really frustrated with him and the general manager. They would be number 2 on my list. Who's number 2? Even if it is the same guy, who's number 2 on your list?
Yeah, it definitely is Dable.
Okay.
Giants have been, ever since he won Coach of the Year, they haven't seen they're way.
It's kind of like the NBA. You win Coach of the Year, it's like a death wish, man.
Yeah, and they're nowhere near a playoff run. Even with all the players they've gotten, they made some really good moves to try to be relevant. But I don't think I think once the season will start, you'll see that they're probably going to have the same record or even worse this year. And they're just trying to reach by getting a quarterback over. I think they overdrafted him. I don't know. I don't see that team holding on to those 2 guys. I think they both get fired together. And they should have never been here. They should have never been in New York. And I've said that since the day one.
Yeah.
That's number 2. And I think
that's number 2. Okay. My number 3. Now I've got 5. If you got honorable mention, go with honorable mention and we can go past it. This is a fun course right here. I love this. This is really good for July Sports Talk here. My number 3 is Mike McDaniel.
Why is he on everybody's list?
Oh, he's on my list and I'm checking it twice. Listen to this screenshot that I had about Mike McDaniel. Dude, I had heard this prior to the fact that when looking up this program, but Google AI with sporting news here, listen to this. I had heard this going at the end of last year. Over the past 3 years under Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins are 3-13 against teams with a winning record over 500. In those games, they have struggled both offensively and defensively, averaging 17 points and 218 passing yards compared to 35 points and 292.5 against teams with losing records. They beat up on the bad teams. They get beat by the good teams, not to mention the lack of physicality on this team. You look at how they play in cold weather. Do you want to put that on Tua? Tua doesn't play defense. What was the last game? I want to say they got beat 38-7 against Kansas City. Virtual no-show, 1 touchdown by Tyreek Hill. Does Chris, I forgot his name now, Stringer, whatever. The general manager takes some of the blame as well, of course, but the team has gradually has gradually got softer. They've moved off of one defensive coordinator. They're on another defensive coordinator. That coordinator went on to go to the Eagles and become very successful last year, winning the Super Bowl. McDaniels probably just coordinator material, but I know that's a fun, flashy offense. But at the end of the day, you got to start winning playoff games. You got to beat teams over 500. Jeez, man, 3-13. He's the opposite of a guy like Mike Vrabel. He does not really play well in these big games. Although we get fooled by all those fantasy points that they put up on these bad teams, Mike McDaniel could get fired because I don't think they're going to do anything with Tua. That's my number 3 guy.
Mm.
What's your rebuttal to that? You like McDaniel, huh?
Yeah, I think that he's at least had one playoff appearance. They need to win. They need to finish games.
Well, he's never won a playoff game, though. Yeah.
But he's been to the playoffs. So
yes, he has been there.
That's a lot further than some of these other coaches have been.
Yes.
So I don't know. I feel like if he's gonna get fired, he's probably get fired after next season. He's not gonna get fired like during the season. A guy in the hot seat, and we look at teams that don't do well. I think Carolina will probably be the guy.
What? It's the second year.
I know, and the thing is that he's just no consistency. He took out the number 1 quarterback last year for a few games, and he put him back in. They're not winning, even if he's trying to do things. So,
you don't think Bryce Young was clicking to him towards the end of the season?
Towards the end, yeah, I just think there was so much instability there. The owners, Taft or whatever, Taffer or Topher, he's very, very quick to draw. I'm not sure if he trusts Canals.
Hey, Canals. I was impressed with the way they finished.
Yeah, I like Canals as a coach. I'm not sure if they want him and they're going to allow him to just build that team up.
Okay.
It's not the coach, man. It's the owner. And we talked about
that owner he is a little bit of a knucklehead. Yeah, he's the one that's cussing at fans and stuff.
Yeah, we've talked about him before.
Yeah.
I mentioned him when we talk about owners that
bit of a hothead.
The NFL should try to move on from, and he's on that list. So they finally got rid of the old Commanders owner. Now they need to move on from him. I feel like that area, the Fairfax, Virginia area, they had a hard hit with these former owners. Man, it's just ownership. It's just crazy in that area. And I don't know if the owner's a good guy or not, but just the way football business he's been doing, all those, it's a bad team that has to get better fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the right coach, but at the wrong time. I think that's going to be the downfall to the coach. I don't think it's going to be the fact that he's trying to.
So you're just basically blaming this owner.
Yeah, I think he wants to win. I think he wants that young jersey to be a top seller, because they need money. They need to make money. And I'm not sure what they've been doing. Tell me what Carolina has done in the last 2 weeks, in the last 4 weeks, to solidify Bryce Young, O-line, offensive prowess, and to solidify the defense that's going to help them. And that division, which is not that strong anyway.
No, it's
right?
not.
So they could.
They're a team. I was thinking about maybe picking the dark horse to win that division.
The Panthers?
Yeah. Listen, this is what they did after Week 11 bye. They lost 30-27 to Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the overtime game. They barely. I watched this game too. Barely lost this game to Tampa in overtime. Then the next week they go to Philadelphia and push Philadelphia 22-16 game. Philadelphia, you know how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
Gave everything they had, pulled off the gas a little bit, lost to the Dallas. Then they beat Arizona in overtime the very next week. They were a little flat on the road against Tampa, lost 48-14, but they win in overtime against Atlanta at Atlanta. 44-38 in a very highly contested game with Michael Penix was trying to break out with his come-out party. They outdo Atlanta. So this team looks – they were very, very competitive. Other than just you want to say 2 games, I don't know. in the Tampa game and the Dallas game. But the last 6 games, week 12 to week 18, most of these games, 4 of the 6 include with the Super Bowl champs, 1-score games, man. So I don't know. I like Dave Canales, but this owner, yeah, he's unpredictable.
Yeah,
He can do anything.
And Tepper, like, I don't like if they start losing and by a lot.
Let's see who they open up against.
I don't feel like he will have patience to stay with this.
Oh, at Jacksonville. Oh, that'll be a great game. That'll be good. It'll be hot, but that'll be a good game.
Look, the divisions to be
Bryce Young versus Travis Hunter.
Yeah, it's the divisions is to be had there for sure. It's those teams are all building up, rebounding and building up. So you need to be competitive. But again, does Tepper have the patience to hold on to this guy and let the team?
He was very quiet last year. That was the year before last that he was doing those outrageous. He got fined and stuff. Maybe he's just on his best behavior, but Tepper could go back and be Tepper again. You never know.
Yeah, that's my guy. So
yeah, okay, that's your number 3. My bonus would be Shane Steichen, of course, for the reasons you said. Carly Ursay Gordon, 44, wants to headset on the games. Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. I mean, those are the 2 guys that Steichen's depending on. They did hire Lou Amorano. Their defense will be better. They got some pretty good personnel up there in Indianapolis. But I think this woman's going to make a name for herself. I got that as a bonus. And did you have another team that you thought that may be for honorable mention that may fire their head coach?
Yeah, I think Cleveland Stefanski. I think.
Yeah.
The ownership there as well. They've gotten great players in the last 6 years to come into the system. They haven't produced this due to injuries and whatever situations that they came through. And the quarterback, getting the quarterback. I think after getting Watson, that deal, flat out didn't help at all. We'll see, man. That's
a good one. That's a good one right there. My last one here at number 5 would be Jonathan Gannon at Arizona. Although they were 8-9 last year,
I was gonna say
they look good. He's better than I thought he'd be. I thought he'd be a disaster because they couldn't get a stop in the Super Bowl. But also a lot of times, year before last, the Eagles had that year where he was with the Super Bowl. They had some really rough games there defensively. I was not impressed. I've been more impressed as a head coach. I don't think Kyler Murray could stay healthy. The expectations are pretty high for them this year. Some people are already calling for Arizona to make the playoffs because they've got some upgrades on the defensive side of the ball. I think Murray's going to let this guy down. And Bidwell's also a little bit like Tepper, a little bit more low-key, though. I think he'll fire Gannon. He's another wild card for me, and it's mainly going to be because of Murray, and they may be quarterback shopping. Murray gets off the great start every year, but he goes, he's small. He's probably battling injury, and he's not known to be entirely focused. Remember, they put that in his contract for him to play less Nintendo and study the playbook more. So that's a great topic there, Chief. What else did I send you? I want to say that I sent you something about the AFC South here, NFC South. Speaking of the devil there, Kirk Cousins says he felt like he was misled in this documentary. Cousins is still the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Falcons are waiting for some type of something to happen in training camp. Maybe they deal him back to Minnesota. I got a feeling they realize they're going to have to eat some of that money. I think he'll probably get dealt. But this is an interesting game of chicken here. What do you think about Kirk Cousins? Are you surprised he's still an Atlanta Falcon considering what they did last year with the Michael Penix thing?
Yeah, I feel like even if they did that, they were trying to reassure themselves of having a quarterback for the end of the season, no matter what happened. So,
okay,
I don't think that was a big deal, and as big as people made it out to be, like, oh, you have Cousins, why'd you get a quarterback? It's because you need quarterbacks. You need a lot of them, and I don't.
Are you okay with this expensive insurance policy?
Listen,
Cousins, they're paying him a lot of money,
They pay a lot of guys a lot of money that don't do anything. You might as well pay somebody who can do something, and he has experience. So, look, that's the price of the game nowadays, right? You have to be able to sometimes lose a little to gain back at the end. And Atlanta's sitting in a pretty nice position. They'll be competitive, and they have opportunities for a lot of players to get better. And if they want to let him go, they're not going to let him go on a cheap, right? They're going to get something back for him. So if they do let him go, they have a little bit of opportunity in that situation. If that's something that happens, I wouldn't. If I was a GM, I'd just keep it how it is.
You don't think because he is Kirk Cousins, he's not going to rock the boat too much?
No, in fact, I would start him over Penix right now anyways, just because it's hot. He needs to get back in the game. Give him 3 starts, 4 starts. Who cares? Like, the NFL season,
when they put Penix in, his play fell off at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know. And
Cousins did.
Here's another thing too. Like, we all have to understand that the NFL is not the same that it used to be. And I've been saying this for the last 8 seasons. The first 6 games are terrible anyway. So you haven't put in Cousins and let him start. If he doesn't get a flow, you can bench him. But at the end of the day, if you make the playoffs and you have Cousins on your bench, you're way better off than the other teams that have. They don't even know who they have as a backup.
Yeah.
Right? Or you won't even know their names, or you know their names and you know that they weren't great starters in the NFL. So the significance of how much the competition level and the understanding of a quarterback drops, right? And you don't need that if you're a playoff team, right? So
yeah, but it could throw off Penix. It could throw off the team chemistry though.
I think the only people that worry about these are like the mass media and then also some of these agents, because again, we don't know what the contract says.
Yeah,
he might have to start anyways because of the contractual agreement. So Penix might have to bite his lip and just be all right sitting out for a few because he's the less paid.
Penix did not play as well as I thought he would, but now you got a whole camp there. I still got faith in Penix. I like what they did in the draft. Some people do not like what they did. They think that Pierce from Tennessee has got character issues. That's the first round pick, James Pierce. You remember the guy from that defensive end from Tennessee.
Right.
I'm leaning to pick them to win the NFC South. I don't know, man. I would probably try to work out something to get somebody. Maybe you hold your breath throughout training camp, and let somebody need him. But there's rumors maybe he goes back to Minnesota.
If he goes back to Minnesota, it's not going to be for cheap. So, like this.
Well, yeah, 7th round pick. See, that's going to be the key. Who pays his salary? Who's going to take up most of that salary? You can give me a 7th round pick, and I'll sit. And if you're going to take a good 70% of that, Minnesota, because remember, Minnesota's got McCarthy, who hasn't played any games. And, Cousins knows the system. O'Donnell's the quarterback whisperer. But Cousins may be washed up, though. That's why this is a very difficult story. He looked bad down the stretch, man. Maybe just because maybe that Achilles was re-aggravated and he didn't say nothing about it. He didn't say that, but his play showed it, didn't it?
Yeah, look, and some of these the younger wide receivers and the tight end, they need to show up and step up as well. Like, you have a quarterback that has opportunity, they can take you and has opportunity.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts has never really been consistent there.
Yeah, and
we thought he was going to be all that.
We was hoping to see that in Atlanta. I was like, Atlanta's got a dog now on Pitts, and I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he just did. I don't know what it is that he hasn't been able to move up in his play as far as performance wise. I thought he would always just be one of those guys that keep getting better, but we'll see. Maybe look, Atlanta is kind of like New York, kind of like Miami. Sometimes the players just get stuck in where they're at, and they don't perform as much as they should or could because of their situation. So that's why they say sometimes moving to a new place can be
it's a make or break year for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, for sure.
My guess is they'll probably move Cousins, but we'll see. You're saying no, they're going to keep him. Is that your prediction?
I mean, that's my prediction for now. Like, look, if you're Atlanta, what is it that you can get and make room for on your roster that's worth that move? And I think right now you make a team worse if you get rid of the guy who has the most experience as a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. We shall see. A lot's going to be depending on how he plays in training camp. Now, he might hold out in training. I don't think he will. If he holds out in training camp, they'll probably move him. But Cousins
ain't never made
an interesting story to follow, man.
Cousins ain't never made a bad business deal. This guy has been making more money than the starting quarterback.
He's a smart guy, and he'll say anything that you want him to say in the locker room. Although I've liked watching him in this. He's got some great quotes here. His dad had a quote, and I was going to do a show yesterday. I just felt like crap. What was I going to say? He quoted Vince Lombardi. He says, "Chasing perfection, knowing you're not going to get there. You have to chase perfection to get excellence." Paraphrasing Vince Lombardi. Lombardi's got a lot of great quotes. Fatigue will make cowards of us all.
Right.
Jimmy Johnson made that famous again, but Vince Lombardi said that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He's a great mentor. He's getting paid a lot of money. You'd kind of like to talk him into mentoring Michael Penix and seeing how that works out. But we'll see. It's going to be what we're going to find out here in a few weeks when training camp starts, if he's going to show up and play. I'm guessing he probably will. He's not a rock the boat kind of guy. He's not a loudmouth receiver. He's not a Stephon Diggs or Antonio Brown type of guy. But you never know. You never know, man. He did seem pretty upset the way things worked out. He said he wouldn't have signed with them if he'd have thought they were going to draft the guy early in the first round like that, Yeah,
but I mean, everybody will feel like that. Aaron Rodgers felt like that.
He was pretty upset when Jordan Love got drafted.
It's like, everybody, if you're a number one quarterback and somebody says or drafts a quarterback, they're essentially saying they want to replace you or this is your backup. And people think replacement first because it's a money thing. It's business, right?
Yeah.
The new guy less, the old guy's halfway out the door.
Yeah, that's true.
So
good point.
That's the only reason they get upset, because they know that contract, they can't get a contract extension, or they're probably going to get moved because they're not going to get money from the team anymore. So,
make that money, man. Speaking of the NFC South, this is not NFC South TV. It's just they've been in the news this week. Tristan Wirfs got a surgery. He's likely to miss the first 4 games in a highly, highly competitive division. Pro Football Focus had him as one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. I'm not so sure about this now. This is really making me think maybe Atlanta may win this division with the Wirfs missing the first 4 games here. What do you think about that? How much does that hurt them?
This is the worst situation for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Other than Mayfield getting hurt,
But again, this allows that younger core group of O-line to shift, to make moves, to get better, and have a little bit more sustainability that this guy needs as a quarterback, right? So having Wirfs out isn't that bad, because like he should take 5 games. I mean, he's a little bit older, so
yeah. Well, he was drafted in 2020. His rookie year, he played with Tom Brady.
Right. So, him being a little bit older, like, you don't want him in that many games anyway. So it's a good thing for him to come back at that time. Maybe you get a little bit more out of him because of that rest. But yeah, O-line for Tampa Bay, they can step up. They can make moves and see what these guys have to protect, You know, to
Better do it now than the start of training camp, right?
Right. And then they know, what guys they can flex around. If anything happens again, the worst, they would have a lineup set up, right? So because when
would you still lean Tampa to win the NFC South today? Now that can change.
Oh, they're always been my dark horse. I like
you love Tampa.
Yeah, I like the coaching staff, like the quarterback's moxie. I like the receiving core still intact. A few guys there. Their defense is getting a little bit like now they're getting a little bit older. They were young for the last 2 seasons. Now you're going to see a lot of movement, a lot of quickness, and a more unified backfield for them. So it's going to be great if you're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, this is going to be a good season for you. They're gonna get more than 10 wins for sure. And they're gonna be either first or second from this division. I think first, but
they seem to be the most complete team.
Yeah,
in that division.
I say first, but you're counting on some of these other teams to come in and make a little, ruffle little feathers. But I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I think it'll be a very competitive division, other than New Orleans. I think it's a 3-team race, man. I like that. To Terry McMillan, that guy they call T-Mac, that receiver that Carolina got. And, I just really like the way Bryce Young played down the stretch, man.
Yeah, but here's my thing.
Yeah, that swag.
Carolina, for the only one thing that they've done to make themselves better is they did draft well. They maybe got a B, C rating from half of all the NFL media houses there, but they did draft well. So, but again, your draft picks either help you in the playoffs or, they're just too green. And so I would say maybe in the next year or two, the Panthers will be a lot better. But this is the Buccaneers. This is their third year after the last 2 draft classes they've had in the defense. And their defense was clicking the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Even with the additions. This is the third year. They just signed their coach who's defensive minded. They've got
they have got extensions and rightfully so.
And Baker's on Baker's on a high horse because he, he's now treated like a top rated quarterback, or and so the defenses have to be cautious of him running and throwing the ball. So I feel like Tampa Bay will come out number 1 and then everybody else. But then, we'll see, man. This is a good, like you said, it's a good competitive division now.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Not just saying that. Okay. You are more familiar with Major League Baseball. I did see this. I was impressed over the last week with Houston sweeping the Dodgers, man.
Yeah.
We're coming up. The next time we talk, it'll be the All-Star break. We're right at the All-Star break. Do you see a team that maybe people weren't talking about in the preseason that now looks like a legit World Series contender, judging by the way they're playing as of right now?
I was gonna say Seattle, but they just got beat by the Yankees. But no, but that's a team I think that people need to be very cautious of.
Yeah. They've been trending upward for the last few years.
Yeah, and they got a lot of young guys there. And they're doing a lot better than expected too. But also another team to look out for is another American League team that people kind of like are on the teeter-totter with, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, where'd they come from, dude? They're leading the East.
Their players now are starting to peak. They everybody talked about that was a young team that was like for the last 3 or 4 seasons that was a young team. That was, even with COVID and all that, they're a young team, and now they're not young no more. Now they're professional ball players who are starting to peak, and I hope, and I'm not a Toronto fan, but I hope that they keep playing well because it's exciting for the game of baseball. I hope that the trade deadline doesn't take apart that team, and I feel like it will because of some of those professional baseball players now are going to require professional type contracts, right?
Yeah.
So, but the pitching staff has come up and has been, working its way into being very competitive, keeping them in the games, and they're getting hitting from all over, not just one place. So I like that team. That's a dark horse team for me. Is Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners are probably those are two you got to watch out for and get to watch them. Yeah, you're not gonna watch them on. They don't get too much TV time, but if you can sneak some time and get an opportunity to watch 1 or 2 games with them, you'll like the game. I don't know if they'll win, but you'll at least enjoy the game.
Yeah, I picked up some guys that work for them, their PR team in Uber, which, by the way, they said they was going to watch the show. They took everything down. They were staying at a really nice hotel downtown. They forgot to tip your boy. Now, people from Canada –
oh, they don't tip because their tip is included in their wage.
Well, a lot of Canadians will tip, except for Toronto. I don't know what it is. Maybe because it's so expensive there. They're just trying to save. But a lot of other people from like New York and LA, they actually do tip because they realize they're getting a discount here in Nashville. But they were joking. They were writing. These guys work for the organization. 3 guys. And I asked them, come on. They said, nah. They thought I might hit them with too many hard questions that could cost them their job. But they were writing the obituary. This was about 6 weeks ago. They were writing the obituary for this year's Blue Jays already, and I asked them about Vlad Jr., and they said they liked that extension, blah, 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 and I said, listen, guys, these guys are in their 30s. I said, when I was a kid, they won the World Series, man. Remember they had Gary Carter on that team.
They went 2 times, right? They went 2 times in the world.
I want to say they won twice. I know they beat the Phillies. I think they might have beat the Phillies twice, if I'm not mistaken.
They beat the Phillies.
They didn't like each other, but they played great. They won 2 World Series. In the early 90s. They
had Roger Clemens. They had David Cone. They had
David Cone. Yeah. You got a great memory.
Yeah, Dave Stewart on the team. John Olerud. Kelly Gruber.
John Olerud was hitting 400 at one time.
What's this guy's name? Pat Borders. They had a lot of guys, man. Just a lot of.
And these guys were not born yet, and we were little kids.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at their record, man. You're right. I mean, they swept the Yankees. They swept Anaheim. They won about 7 or 8 in a row, and then they lost to the Sox last night. Yeah, they're on a tear, man. This team is on a tear. I picked up another Uber rider last year, and he was going crazy about Detroit being the hottest team at the end of the summer last year. Mm-hmm. Now I noticed that Detroit has, I think if I'm not mistaken, don't they got the best record in baseball?
They do, and they got most of it just like the Mets did in the beginning of the season. They were doing very well, and they
59 and 35, dude.
Yeah, they've been doing well, and a lot of close games too. So, which is good for Detroit because you want to be able to close games, and they've been.
So they're fighters, but they're not really dominant pitching.
I don't want to put them on that. Like I think they'll be in the playoffs, but I'm not sure that they're deep enough to ride out the stint.
Okay.
So
let me ask you about now. The Mets are a game and a half back of Philadelphia. That looks like that's going to be fun all the way up to the end. It feels very competitive. I love that series last year. That was a great series. Didn't it go 7 games last year?
Yeah. And so, here's the thing. As much as I'm a New York fan for both teams, the Yankees and the Mets, I think both teams, I've said it before, I think they'll be in the playoffs. Both teams right now.
Who do you like to win this? You still like the Mets to win it? It's only a game and a half back.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're right now behind the Phillies. They play the Orioles, and I've lost to them in the last 2 games. 3 games right now. I think they're losing right now. So, and then they play tomorrow. Then they play tomorrow. Then they have to play Cincinnati, and then the Royals, and then they go on to the break. I think they'll sweep Cincinnati, and they'll win 2 games from the Royals. The Royals might get 1 on them. But listen, they're a team like the Yankees as well. New York baseball teams right now, what you have to look out for, what we have to be open-minded and our perception needs to be is that there are a lot of young players on both of those teams that need to step up and will step up because of the potential that they have. But we have to be very patient, and both teams right now need pitching. But my thing.
Do you expect any big trades to come about?
Oh, there's going to be some trades.
Do you think that the Mets? By the way, Soto did not make the All-Star team. He lost about a little bit of money off his contract. Do you expect him to snap out of this thing in the second half?
He's had one of the best Mays in Major League Baseball. He's like one of the best players in May.
Okay.
With his percentages and hitting and slugging out. So his lack of production in the beginning of the season is the reason why he's not All-Star right now.
Okay,
but
cool.
Right now he's kind of like in between getting his engine started.
Do you think this is going to be good? This break is going to do
I think it's going to help him. He's going to help the team. It's going to help the pitching that's been hurt and the players that have gotten hurt that are coming back. It helps everybody right now. Do
you see the Mets making a move by the trade deadline, which is July 31st, 3 weeks from the day, I want to say?
Yeah, I see them more moving their younger players around than I do maybe having them acquire one or two players. They got a couple players in the minor leagues that they might move because of the amount of players that they have in depth wise. So for me, I'm not sure if they're gonna make the move and just go with the team they have now, and stay young. Just probably acquire one more pitcher, because that's
what relief pitching.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Starting pitching, they have the guys coming back. Manaea's getting healthy. Senga's coming back as well. So they just got to acquire one more guy that can help them fulfill that bullpen, man. And I've said this for a while now. Even last year, like the young players are coming out. You're gonna learn some new names.
Yeah.
Even yesterday, this kid for the Yankees, Schindler, pitched a very great game.
Okay.
Against the Mariners. And look, man, youth is where it's at in all sports right now. And if you can't get over that, if you can't see past that, then you're gonna ride on a surfboard and that's going nowhere. Because the new wave is the youngsters, and it's about that time. Because right now, and like we mentioned, like I keep mentioning, and we're gonna have to find a date for this. These player associations for all these leagues, that's about that time where they lock out time and new contract time. So the youth has to come out and they have to represent. You have to make it, because these leagues are going to start suffering if there's nobody that can sell jerseys.
Yeah. Something, it is good to have a bunch of young, hungry players on your team. I wasn't even going to touch on this in basketball, but you mentioned young players and youthfulness and hungry. Do you think maybe it was a mistake by OKC to extend all their young core guys this week?
Well, I think
basketball, they extended Holmgren, SGA, Jalen Williams. Don't you want to keep that carrot on the stick?
No.
Chad Holmgren and maybe a Jalen Williams.
So what they did was they contracted them so they're not going to leave on their accord. Now OKC can be like, okay, we're going to trade you because we're gonna move you, not because the player wants to move, right? That's why they got the.
You don't see this, Robin. They've already got a championship. You don't see this kind of lowering their motivation for next year, where they're not going to be quite as hungry next year.
No, I think the one thing that's going to help them is that everybody's has a target on their back. That would be the best and only motivation you have for returning championship. And everybody knows, and they're sitting there, and even though they're eating at all those restaurants for free, and everybody's giving them a high five, they got a target on their back, man. And I'm sure, and they're gonna once.
So you would have extended all these guys?
Yeah, because all of them have high potential. They're all low risk right now because they just won a championship. So I would have signed them all, and then in a season or two, if I'm not getting what I like from you, I'll move you because I can't.
I think maybe Presti was thinking that he didn't want their stock to get too high, where they want a lot more money. I guess he's having flashbacks to maybe Harden.
Yeah,
maybe he wished he could have found a way to keep Harden
right
early. And then maybe Harden's asking price wouldn't have got so high. Remember they traded Harden to Houston when Harden was in his prime?
Yeah, he pulled the baseball move because that's what Atlanta does. Atlanta signs all their young players and contractual agreement, and then they have what their payroll is going to be like for the next 2-3 years. And if anything happens, then yeah, well, you want a bonus, and you gotta you gotta work for it.
Yeah, and Atlanta's only got they have won some World Series, but not enough.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Mets schedule just in case people are wondering. They do play Philadelphia September 8th
That's right.
to the 11th. That's a 4-game stretch there at Philadelphia, but they do not play them the end of the season. They play Miami and Chicago and Washington, who, by the way, fired their manager and general manager. That's the last 3 series. Before that, they played San Diego. So they got a pretty rough stretch, the Mets do, to end the season. They need to take 3 out of 4 in September. Of course, I have not seen what Philadelphia has to do. That's going to be a fun pennant race to watch, man.
Yeah, the East, the last 3 years, I'll say, has been very tight. Atlanta was in the mix last year. I don't think
down to the end, yeah.
I don't think they'll be in the mix this year. But we'll see.
Much easier for Philly. Much other than playing the Dodgers. But they got to play Arizona, Miami, and Minnesota the last 3 series for the Phillies. But before that, they do play Kansas City and a 3-game road trip against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers will probably be fighting San Diego.
Right.
For the West, probably.
And even the Giants, right there.
And the Giants, of course, the Giants have Devers. And the Giants have always had a good organization. So that's going to be fun, man. I'm actually looking forward to it.
They should catch a few games, man. Get back into the swing of
things. Yeah, I'm trying to get back into it, dude. I thought that was – I'm really surprised that Ohtani has got 30-something home runs. I mean, that guy's not letting off one bit, man.
Yeah, I like Ohtani. I'm a big fan of his. I just would like to see that during the playoffs. I know it's hard. Playoffs are people are like, oh, they're not good at the playoffs. Like, yeah, because pitching is better because the competition is better, and but I would like to see a little bit more of that during the playoffs. I mean, he was hurt last year, had a bad shoulder.
Yeah,
and you didn't get to see him 100%. So I hope that they take care of him. He takes care of himself, and we see an 100% Ohtani in the playoffs because in the World Series and stuff, it really was relaxed, and not to see him not at 100%, man, it's tough because he's just like.
Well, they won though,
Yeah, I know, but
I love what I saw out of Houston. It's not going to be a roll. I think Houston feels like they can play with the LA now after that 3-game sweep. Do you think Aaron Judge? Do you think he'll get back into it? He's hitting 360. Do you still think maybe he comes back rested after this All-Star break? Is he going to get closer to 400, or you think maybe he's kind of leveled off for the season?
I don't. It's kind of hard to tell because usually around after the break is when these teams get more competitive, trying to stay in the pennant race.
Yeah, that's true.
And, one thing that he needs to turn around, and the people not aware of Judge, is that he, as well as Ohtani last year, they don't do well. It hasn't done well in the playoffs. Now, for him, he wasn't doing well last year, but he hasn't done well in the playoffs for the last 3 years. So, his numbers kind of dipped down, and it's.
You act like he's going to level off. He's not going to hit. He's not going to hit 400
because of what they've been doing at the beginning of the season, right? So I hope that it doesn't. I hope that he stays injury free, and I hope that he doesn't level off. But it usually does happen. He usually does level off. Pitchers walk him more. They throw around him. So I don't know. My expectations aren't high for either players, but as a baseball fan, I would like to see both of those guys be healthy.
Yeah, I love Aaron Judge, man. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to plug, Chief?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a few podcasts with the football. I'm gonna put them out in the next
tag me with them
few days. We'll talk more about the Mets and the Yankees. I'll usually just talk about the Mets and the Yankees on that show, and I'll talk about what we're expecting to see here after the break and who to watch out for as well. So,
all right. Mad New Yorker, we got 2 sound. Mad New Yorker, bringing it tonight. Blue,
Yo,
blue, blue.
have a good day. Enjoy your weekend.
Appreciate it, brother. You too. All right, everybody. I will see you next week here on the Real Sports Scope. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. See you next week.